Hello folks, and welcome to another kit review video. In today's video I'm going to be taking a look at these. These are the Tracker Forest ESC boots from Vivo Barefoot. I've been wearing these today for exactly 100 days, and I have to say I am pretty impressed, so they're going to get a glowing review from me. So if you want to know more about these boots, stick around. I'm going to run through the features and specifications of the boots, and then I'm going to finish up talking about why I like them so much. So, here are the boots in all of their glory. Like most boots, they have a sole and they have an upper. I'm going to start by going through the features of the upper to begin with. The main part of the upper is constructed from what Vivo call wild hide leather. I had to have a bit of a read into what that is, and basically it's cows that are allowed to roam free, get scratches and scars as they would do in nature, and they're not kept penned up to keep the leather nice. So some of these may have natural marks on them. Mine don't. They're pretty smooth all over, and that leather feels really good quality. The minute you get these out of the box, you just think, wow, like that is good quality leather. It's soft and it's supple, but it's also thick and it feels durable as well. The tongue of the boot, you can just see here, if I just loosen that slightly, it is stitched into the main upper, so we've got this kind of pleat here, just like a traditional hiking boot. I quite like this because some of these lighter weight boots that I've seen, the tongue is just like a flap that flops around all over the place, more like a pair of trainers, but that's great because it helps keep dirt and moisture out. The back of the boot and the side, we've got this kind of hardened, almost like rubber plate. And what this does is when you kind of cinch this up around your ankle, it kind of locks that boot really firmly into the ankle and stops it from sliding around, and just offers a little bit more support at your heel there. The top of the boot is quite high, and we've got these cast brass eyelets all the way around. And when you're using these, it really locks all of this in around your ankle. And seriously, that gives me the most comfortable ankle support I've ever felt in a pair of boots. That's a genuine statement. I have never felt ankle support like this in a pair of boots. Most of the boots that I own, this top bit ends up kind of flopping out to the sides after a few weeks of use. These are still standing upright and they are so comfortable. Inside, we've got a mesh lining, which allows the boots to be a little bit more breathable and stops you from getting really sweaty feet in there. So the back of the boot is quite firm, whilst the front is a lot softer. We'll go into some detail about that very, very shortly. One thing to note is that these boots do not have a waterproof membrane, but I kind of like this. I haven't had wet feet in them. Again, I'll talk about that shortly, but I also find that my feet don't get sweaty in these boots. Even in hot weather, I haven't ended up with like really sweaty feet. They genuinely are breathable, and that is a rare thing these days. Yeah, the brass eyelets as well, as I said, they are cast brass, so they're rust resistant, and I don't actually know how they're attached. I think they're riveted on, so these ones are riveted on, and I really like this particular style just here. So you can see there's a little ball bearing in there which allows that lace to move through really comfortably, and it doesn't snag up when you're trying to tighten it, so you can really put some tension on this if you need that additional support. Onto the sole of the boot. So the soles of the boots, these are made in collaboration with Michelin, the guys who make the tyres, and they are super, super bendy in all directions. I really, really like this. I went for these ones because they've got these really deep lugs, which are 7mm deep, which means that in muddy conditions or slippery conditions, you have got quite a lot of grip. Now, in the past, I have seen criticism of these boots that the soles come away from the boot because they were just glued on. But now, if I can get the camera to look at it, you can see this dark line here that's got dirt in it. These are now stitched and glued on, and I've been wearing these for 100 days, so that's over 1,000 hours, and there's no sign of that sole coming apart just yet. So yeah, really good. And there's the little Michelin logo on the boot as well there. So you can see these are seriously grippy boots, and they just fold up to nothing. The sole is slightly, I believe there's something to do with the foam where it's not completely solid. There's like a bit of squish in it, so they are comfortable to wear. It's not like hard on your feet all the time. Most hiking boots, if you try to squeeze the sole, they are super solid, so it's a nice comfortable sole to wear, and it kind of comes up just a little bit around the ankle here. So this whole section of the boot here, they have rapidly become my very, very favourite boots. After day 2 of wearing them, I was like, I'm never wearing any other boots again. They are absolutely incredible. They're comfortable, they're lightweight, and they are just a pleasure to wear. The comfort comes from the fact that we've got this wide toe box, which allows your toes to spread and move with the floor, so you can kind of use them for balancing. We've got that high top which pulls right in around your ankle. It just feels cozy and snug and secure. And then of course you've got that flexible sole which allows you to feel literally everything on the ground. Every lump, bump, twig and rock, you can feel it underneath your feet, but it isn't painful. It's quite comfortable, and in fact I now love walking across this slightly boggy, marshy, kind of mossy, damp ground because it feels like you are walking on a cushion with them. Putting these boots on really is like putting your slippers on. When you first get them, they do take a little bit of getting used to, so if you're going to get yourself a pair of these, be sure to head over to the Vivo website. I will link it in the description below, because you have to size them up slightly differently to traditional shoes. When you first put them on, you think, oh my God, they're too big for me, they're way, way too big. And that is because we're used to having that kind of rule where you use your thumb to feel that your toes are at the end of the boot. But in these, there should be a thumb width gap between your toes and the end of the boot, and there should be some space between your big toe and your little toe at the sides there, and eventually your feet will spread to fill those out. But as well as just being, you know, incredibly comfortable, these are actually a pleasure to wear. I have found that when I'm walking around the forest, particularly at work, I really feel like connected to the ground around me, because you can feel everything. I'm not slipping and sliding the same, which means that my hips and my lower back aren't getting as achy after a day of work, particularly when it's wet. I'm not like sliding in the mud because your foot just molds to whatever is underneath it. But on top of that, I found that it is very, very easy to move incredibly quietly through the woods now. Traditional boots, they're big and they're heavy and you just get sick of that weight. And as you're moving through the woodland, you're literally just crashing through the undergrowth. But with these, it's much easier to kind of pick your way through and make very, very little sound, because you can feel if you're about to step on a stick or a leaf or something that's going to make a sound, you can feel it before your foot fully connects with the ground. Now, they do take a little bit of getting used to, particularly if you're walking on hard surfaces. The first few weeks of wearing them, I have to walk down a tarmac path, and that actually was quite painful to begin with, but I'm quite used to it now, and I just wear these boots all the time. I absolutely love wearing them. Downsides to them, like I said, they don't have a waterproof membrane, so there is the possibility, the risk that your feet might get wet. But to be honest, I've been out in some pretty rough conditions and I haven't gotten wet feet in these. In fact, quite the opposite. Because they don't have that waterproof membrane, I'm finding that my feet aren't getting sweaty in my boots, so that when I'm taking my socks off at the end of the day, I'm like, they're still dry, like they're not sweaty like they normally are in like Wellington boots or traditional hiking boots. So that's a bit of a double-edged sword, that one. But they are really comfortable and really, really breathable. They are just an absolute pleasure to wear. I think the biggest downside to these boots is a couple of weeks ago, the one weekend where I didn't wear them, I'd gone up to the Lake District to do some mountain walking and I didn't wear these boots. I wore my old hiking boots, but because my feet have spread to fill these and to just be more natural and more comfortable, by the time I was done with a couple of days walking in the hills, all of the edges, like around the edges of my feet and my toes, were really battered and bruised because those boots are now slightly too small for me. So if you start wearing these and you wear them regular, you are going to go up a shoe size and things are going to feel strange. And I also found that because I'd gotten so used to being able to feel the floor underneath me, I was slipping and tripping quite a lot more in those heavier boots, so that is something to be very much aware of. I haven't done any long hikes in these yet. I think I'm going to need to build up to that. I think you're going to need a bit of sort of training for your feet, because you do feel your foot muscles starting to work a little bit more. And after a day of wearing them, your feet do kind of ache a little bit, but it's not like that throbbing ache that you get from hiking. It's more like a muscular ache as the muscles are building back up in your feet. So just be aware of all that. But overall, I absolutely love them. They're my favourite boots. So much so that for the summer months, I'm going to get there's another style of these which has a slightly thinner sole. So when the ground's drier and not as muddy, I'm going to get myself a set of them, which are even lighter and in theory even more comfortable. In the past, I'd been a little bit concerned because I'd seen people saying that as much as they loved the boots, the soles came away really easily, and that was because they were just glued on in the past. But we can see now, I think I said earlier, they are stitched on, and I've worn these for exactly 100 days, so that's well over 1,000 hours and hundreds of kilometres or miles of walking, and there's no sign of that sole coming off. I have been treating them with leather conditioner just to stop them cracking. Standard practice with leather, because it is a natural material. If you don't look after it, it is going to crack. But that isn't a fault of the boot at all. It's just about keeping them maintained and well looked after. I mentioned earlier about this sort of eyelet here, which has this little ball bearing in it, which I hope you can see. I really like this. This is a really clever feature. I've never seen it before, and it means that when I'm tightening the boots up, the lace is able to roll around that ball bearing. A lot of the time, as you get tighter on these boots, it just snags up, so you really are able to get that ankle bit really tight. So I keep the top bit here very, very loose, and I tend to keep this bit here quite tight while I'm building up that strength in my ankles again. From years of wearing boots, my ankles and my feet have gone quite weak. So overall, I absolutely love these boots. When I'm doing these kit reviews, I always try to find faults with things, but with these, like, I really struggled. I'm very, very, very happy with them. They are quite expensive. They come in at an average price of about £220, but that's about the average price I would pay for a decent pair of boots anyway. That's the lower end of what I'd pay for a pair of boots, so I'm not too fussed about that, and I was very lucky that I actually managed to get these on quite a good offer. But one of the things that I really like about Vivo is they do have a guaranteed 100-day money-back guarantee, which is why I decided to do this review after 100 days of wearing them. I cannot state how impressed with these boots I am, and I hope that they, you know, last the test of time, because they're fantastic. I don't think they'll last as long as a traditional pair of boots because they have that lightweight construction. I kind of came into this kind of knowing that, but for all the benefits you get from wearing them, I think that is a price worth paying. Since wearing them, I have found that my balance has improved. The way that I move just through the forest, through the countryside, has really, really improved. The other day I was at the gym sticking on a pair of trainers, and I was just balanced really strongly, and it kind of hit me, and I was like, oh, I wouldn't have been able to do this a few months ago, as I was like standing on one leg putting the boots on. So yeah, quite impressive that your toes start to actually do their job, whereas previously they're just like little appendages at the end of your feet that don't really do anything. So there you go, that is the Tracker Forest ESC boots from Vivo Barefoot. I cannot tell you how impressed with them I am. So as always, I hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope you've got something out of it. If you've got any questions about these boots, please do let me know in the comments below. I'm happy to answer anything that you want to know about them. I am genuinely, I've said it a million times, but I am genuinely impressed. And until next time, take care of yourselves, enjoy the outdoors, and bye for now.